gamers! Welcome to Games and Feelings, an advice show about playing games, being human, and dealing with the fact that those games will involve other humans. I'm your host and question keeper, Eric Silver, and if I had to make an escape room, it would be set in a secret library. This would either be like a posh leather-bound books one, like it's a library in a secret mansion and we're all locked in, murder mystery style, or it would be like a lost library, like in Avatar with the big owl.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about?
I know which one you mean. Yeah.
Not
very
Big
cool.
Jim's Avatar where there's probably a big owl, but in Avatar, the Last Airbender, where the big owl...
Don't get me talking about Big Jim's Avatar, okay? I'm extremely vexed about this subject right now, but...
We're not doing it again. We did it in the last episode.
We can't do that
We're
again.
All right. Jasper Cartwright,
Hello.
eternal guest. If you had to design an escape room, where would it be set?
Ooh, where would it be set? It would be set... well, I did a really cool, like, horror one once, so I think I'd want to stick with that, and I'd maybe go with, like, a Elden Ring, Bloodborne's, like, type setting. So, like, but, like, do some funky stuff. I'm, like, imagine using, like, projections and, like, LED screens to, like, make it appear like there's huge things, like, in the room with you. Stuff like that, I think would be really, really cool. So that's what I'm going to go with.
I like a dark fantasy that's not like dark fairy tale.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's plenty of that. Alice in Wonderland stabbing someone in the eye.
Grim Tales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea that it's Elden Ring and the narrative makes absolutely no sense. So we're just like, this god died and there's a bunch of fingers and you just need to finish within 60 minutes.
That's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Like, you just go in there and you just have to wiggle the fingers in a certain order and that unlocks the rib cage of the god, and then you get through the rib cage and you get into like the head of the god, and then you have to look through their eyes and you think the world in a different way, and it absolutely none of it is connected other than by the bones of this god.
No.
That's the connective tissue of this escape room.
At the end, it actually ends 10 minutes early. They stop and be like, all right, here is a basic comprehension quiz about the narrative and backstory of this world. You have to complete it in order to win the escape
get
room.
out. And you only have 10 minutes left, so good luck.
Yeah, there's only 2 questions, so you should be able to do it.
But we will be requiring an essay for each question.
Yeah. You didn't pull any of the books off the wall, or you didn't pick up the item and there was a big description under it? You didn't read it? You didn't check that?
Like, come on.
Oh, sorry. You were trying to pair the LEDs with Morse code. Sorry, that took too much time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, apologies. That's on us.
The soul blinking out of the god's eyes was Morse code, so it took you a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to know Morse code as well. Teach yourself Morse code in the room.
Jasper, you're joking, but if everyone knew Morse code, escape room artists would have a lot more problems.
Yeah, it would be tough, I think. Especially, I feel like if everyone knew Morse code, the way that your brain has to critically work out Morse code, I feel like it essentially would make most puzzles in an escape room pretty easy.
Yeah.
Because like your brain would be fine-tuned to picking up on like rhythms and patterns and things like that, which like most people aren't, which is why escape rooms take people like a while, I think. But like if you're actually trained in that stuff, I think you'd breeze through most escape rooms.
Well, the thing is that the point of the Morse code section is that you need to read the document that teaches you Morse code in the room, and then you gotta find the thing. It's like, I just like how it's inserted in the middle of any game. It's like, or any escape room. Like you jump into a video game, it's like, all right, here's the auto scroller section where you need to go forward while the water's rising. It's fine. It's like, that'll amuse you for 10 minutes. I feel like escape room artists are like, all right, here's the Morse code section. Let's skip forward 10 minutes in my schedule.
Yeah. And then they're sitting there watching the video feed, like, oh, they know Morse code already. Okay. This is gonna take them like 10 minutes. No. Okay, maybe I'll try and make it harder from the outside. Let's see if I can do that.
I can't believe Captain Planet and the escape artists are beating this so well.
Me and Jade actually came second on like the fastest time to get out of an escape room. To the only team that had gotten above us was like a professional like escape room team of 4 people, and they were only quicker than us by like 2 minutes.
Jasper, I'm raising my hand.
Yeah,
I know
please,
this is an audio
please.
medium. I'm raising my hand.
Sorry, Eric?
Hi. Eric Silver from the Games and Feeling Gazette.
Yes.
What the fuck is a professional escape room team?
Okay, Eric, really good question. Really, really good question. Love that question. Love that energy. I asked the same fucking question at the time. Because I was like, the guy was like, oh, no, they're like a professional team. And I was like, what? Basically, there are like people who go around. They were from Germany. Honestly, that explains it mostly. Like they just go around to like doing escape rooms and doing them in like record times. And I don't know for sure in my mind the way I think this works is that the escape room company probably like hires them to come in and like try and make their games better.
Sure,
that's how I imagine this goes down. I don't know that to be a fact. That's the only logical reason that I can imagine for this thing to exist.
Yeah.
Other than maybe there is like a escape room competition annually, maybe, and they're training for that, maybe. Because like you can't really go to the same places. Like eventually you're going to do all of them in like a pretty, there's not a lot like of escape rooms in per square mile or whatever. You know what I mean?
Jasper, I have so many jokes going on in my head. I feel like the multiverse right now. I'm looking into all these different ones. First of all, that doesn't make them professional. That makes them competitive.
No, sure.
Like, are they sponsored by like Haribo? Like they have Haribo shirts?
No, they're the Red Bull escape room team. That's what it is. RB Escape Rooms. That's what their official title is.
Yeah, they're the Bunchin Haribo gummy bears. Oh my god. So Jasper, I'm looking for other German companies that aren't affiliated with Nazis. That's the only one I could get to.
Sure.
So I'm gonna keep going to that one.
It's a good reach. Stick with that one.
I also love that they're like white hat hackers for escape rooms, as opposed to like the nefarious black hat hackers that like bust your shit and do it in 15 minutes and then call you an asshole and like reveal all of the bad business deals you've ever done. Like they're anonymous. Imagine you went into an escape room and everyone was wearing an anonymous mask, like a Guy Fawkes mask.
I think that would be a bit much. I think I'd be a bit freaked out, like, I don't know if I want this. I want to get out now.
It's V for Vendetta against escape rooms.
I mean, he probably would do pretty well in escape rooms. Let's be honest.
I mean, he had that plot, but it didn't go well, so I don't know. It's about teamwork. It's actually an allegory about teamwork, how everyone shouldn't have flipped on Guy Fawkes. Yeah,
exactly. That's all it's about.
Yeah. Remember that you need to know Morse code before you go into an escape room.
Morse code.
Yeah,
that's the thing we want you to take away from this episode of Games and Feelings is know Morse code. Learn Morse code before you go to escape room.
Good idea.
Don't go in underprepared. You gotta know it. You've got to know your code.
It's important. Oh man, Jasper, we've recorded 3 of these already. Oh, this is the third. I mean, you all know, listeners, this is the 3rd episode that Eric and Jasper have done in the rebooted weekly 2023 Games and Feelings. And I love the bants. I'm enjoying this a lot, buddy.
I hope other people are, and it's not them just being like, oh, okay, here's the 10 minutes of Eric and Jasper going on a tangent, and then we get into the, like, actual advice bit. Like, I hope that they're enjoying it as much as we are. If they are, man, this is a great 10 minutes. This is a great opening section for each show. But if they're not, I mean, oh boy, I'm really sorry. We'll do some advice now.
If you like it, just at Games and Feelings, again with an N. And if you don't like it, at JW Cartwright.
You can at JW Cartwright. That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine because my handle is JW _Cartwright. So at JW Cartwright, that's fine. Just don't worry about leave the underscore out. That's A-okay by me.
JW Cartwright writes like pulpy murder mystery novels.
I mean, I would actually be quite like happy to write pulpy murder mystery novels. That'd be great.
JW is living the dream. He's doing exactly what he wants.
JW is living the dream. Do we have to do the thing with games and the feelings?
Yes, let's do the first section. Now, after all the bants, games that are giving us feelings. This doesn't have to be a game coming out. This doesn't have to be a video game at all. It can be anything under the games and feelings umbrella. Jasper, do you have a game that is giving you feelings? And give me an adjective like LiveJournal to describe the feeling that it is giving you.
This game is giving me elation.
Yeah, dude.
I know, pretty bold word, because over Christmas, on Christmas Day, we'd all eaten food and everything, and everyone was feeling a little. We were on the next bit where everyone's just like, I've eaten food and now I'm tired. So we decided to do. I was like, hey guys, why don't we play like a kind of like a little bit of a role playing game? Sure. Now at this point, the whole family was like, oh, here we go. Here's Jasper's bit. Here's his thing. This is what he does for a living on these podcasts or whatever.
Can I acknowledge that that your family or your fiance's family knowing that you do this professionally is like 3 steps up from what the majority of people think about people who do this professionally? They're like, you do that? You work at a radio station, right?
That is absolutely hilariously accurate. Yeah. Now, they're very supportive. This is actually my fiance's family. I think my family would have less of an idea. My fiance's family is genuinely shown an interest, and in fact, my fiance's mum is a huge fan of Three Black Halflings and is one of our patrons.
Let's go.
I think she was the 4th ever patron and is still a patron to this day. So,
let's go.
Yeah, huge shout out to Jeanette if you're listening. It's very possible that she is. So basically, I was like, should we play this game? And we played Werewolf.
Oh, hell yeah.
And let me tell you, Eric, we had a blast. People got into it. There was grandmas throwing shots at people. There was rifts forming between sisters. I mean, it was incredible, and like had such a good time. And for like some of the people, this was like their first time doing any kind of role playing.
Sure.
It was an absolute blast, and I think that I may have just indoctrinated an entire family into TTRPGs. Like, I think they're ready to like take steps into more complex games, like, and more complex role-playing games. It was so much fun, and also just absolutely hilarious to watch family dynamics play out as fictional tomato sellers, because that's what they all were in this village. But like, all they didn't know each other. They just kind of were villagers, and they just decided they were all this village was renowned for selling tomatoes. So that's like incredible. They were adding layers upon layers. It was incredible.
I was going to ask you if they were just like playing themselves, but they already got into it. They took the step.
No. They fully came up with. We were in Googlesburg was the name of the first village, and like it like they were all tomato sellers, and it was honestly, it was impeccable. It was absolutely impeccable. Everyone bought such a game. And what was hilarious as well is like you quickly got to understood like who in the family just generally they think is potentially shifty, because like they got killed off straight away in every game, despite the fact they were never the werewolf or doing anything remotely suspicious. They were just like, yeah, we just fundamentally don't trust you that much. Like, if anyone in this room was going to kill us, it would be you, so we're going to kill you. It was very fun.
That's awesome.
So I'd highly recommend, if you have family all together and you want to do something that's like fun, full of energy, a game of Werewolf is very, very, very simple. So it's very easy for people to get, and it's just like a nice little entryway to help, like, you know, get people into having a bit of a role play. And it was so much fun.
You know, we get so many questions of like how to get your friends into your very specific hobby, and I'm very happy to hear that like Werewolf is the thing that does it, and then you have real life experience with it.
Yeah, and then, like, we even, like, I was like, oh, we'll play, like, 2 games. We ended up playing, like, 6 games or something of this, like, because they were, like, that into it. And I was like, by, like, the 5th and 6th game, I was like, oh, I'll change up the format a bit. I introduced new rules.
Yeah, you gave them, did you use roles and stuff?
I introduced a vampire who halfway through the game could pick someone to convert into a vampire. So, like, halfway through a game, one person that you may think is absolutely a civilian might have just flipped to be a vampire and no one knew.
Oh, nice.
We changed the setting, so we're in like a gothic, like seedy, like noir setting, as opposed to like a little kind of village in the middle of random Scandinavian town, you know. So it was very, very, very fun. So it definitely fulfilled the thing of like, I'm getting people into my hobbies. Yes, come with me. And then I opened the door and they were like, whoa, there's so much in here. And it's like, yes, there is.
Look at my leather-bound books that I have in my closet.
I was literally thinking it, like, I was like, oh god, here's my dice. Hauls in like a huge sack full of dice. Like, here here, look.
So I have a little modification to this werewolf game. All of you are going to have your own powers, and you roll this dice to establish the power.
Yes. And someone might be a werewolf, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because that werewolf will get to choose to do whatever they want to do. Whoa.
The goal no longer is to figure out who the werewolf is. We're just telling a story.
We're just going to tell a story together, which might involve a werewolf, and it might not, you know? But you can all be tomato sellers if you want to. It's fine.
Yeah, everyone's still tomato sellers, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
The game that's giving me feelings is the game Sports Story that came out recently for the Switch. And the feeling that I have is I feel conflicted. And the little emoji of me is really making the hard thinking face. There's a question mark in a thought bubble above me. So for those of you who don't know, Sports Story is actually the sequel to this game called Golf Story that came out on the Switch. It was put out by the video game developers Sidebar Games. They're an indie studio out of Australia. And something that I've noticed about Australian tech companies in general is that, like, they're pretty chill. They don't, I'm not saying that they're not, like, Australia is just as capitalist as any English-speaking country there is, whatever. But, like, the tech grind, I don't think has gotten to Australia. They're honestly pretty okay about some things. And Australian listeners, you can say that, but that's just what I've gotten from some of these video game people and Canva and a lot of other Australian folks. They're a little more chill about their capitalism.
I will go ahead and say I have Australian family. That's definitely a vibe in Australia. Yeah. Like they have a healthier work-life balance on the whole, and they definitely they have the beach and glorious weather like all the time. And absolutely. They're just kind of chill. That's great.
Yeah, they want to go to Bondi Beach and rip it up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Absolutely. They got surfing to do.
Yeah. Okay, so this game came out in 2017, Golf Story. I really loved it. It was based on the old Mario Golf RPGs for the Game Boy Color that used to come out. It was basically like really an RPG. It was like a Pokemon-esque, but also there's some golf involved. There was like quests you could go on. There was a full story. And this game really kind of added on to it. And I really love the arcade golf games. I love Mario Golf of all stripes. I played Toadstool Tour on GameCube quite a lot, and it's one of my favorite games. Yeah.
Okay, that's a deep cut, but let's go.
Listen, my GameCube was my prized possession. It is in a very nice spot in my apartment. So this game, people have been waiting for Sports Story for years. It was basically going to advance. It was a sequel, but also it wasn't just golf. It was like cricket and baseball and tennis and all this other stuff. And there's a lot of wacky stuff that happens in Golf Story. Like there's fishing. I can't even explain how wacky it gets with the golf in this game, but it's not just golf. It's all these different types of sports. So this game was supposed to come out in 2020. It was delayed multiple years. No one knew when it was coming out. If you look on Sidebar Games' Twitter, their last tweet before announcing that this game was coming out was Christmas 2021.
Whoa. Okay. So we took a long holiday.
Yeah. And then after that, in January 20th of 2020, they shared a D&D homebrew golf club that someone had made, but they just retweeted that.
Just to illustrate that the bare minimum was being done on this Twitter feed.
Yeah, they retweeted someone else coming up with a homebrew D&D mechanic based on their game. And then this year on November 9th, they tweeted out that the game was going to come out right before Christmas.
Whoa.
And we're like, oh my God, okay. So then the game came out December 23rd.
Okay.
I bought it immediately because it was incredible, and I was so excited. Immediately, people started playing, and this game was a mess. It had glitches, it had bugs, It was not ready to go out, but I feel like they pushed it to make it come out before Christmas, and people have been waiting for it for so long. It felt like they might have felt pressure to put it out. Right?
Mm.
So I kind of pushed through a lot of the bugs. There was a lot of like there wasn't a lot of direction in it. It was a lot like, hey, go see this person to go find it. And then, of course, there's like no arrow. We don't know where the person is. You just got to run around the world to figure it out. Oh,
man. Just keep going up to every NPC, clicking on them to see what their name is. Like, oh, boy. Yeah. Okay.
And like the worlds are not small. They're not small at all. So you got to run around and you got to find this person and figure out where they are. I got to a point in this game where I cannot progress.
Oh.
Okay. I'm in this like scrublands area and I got some golf balls that explode and I need to explode some boxes to grab some old TVs and harvest them for parts. And I have to throw them into a recycling bin. Jasper, this is a great game. It's a great game.
This is the most Australian sounding thing I've ever heard of in my life.
It's really wacky. Their sense of humor is incredibly wacky. I really like it. But like it's so that's the premise. I'm doing this. You got to pick up like 6 TVs, right?
You need to get 6 TVs.
Just
obviously.
6.
You need 6 TVs.
Yeah. So I got to put 6 TVs in this recycling bin. Every time I try to put one of the TVs in there, it doesn't register. Like it glitches out and it then goes like if you do something wrong or you run into an object while you're carrying the TV, it resets to its original point, right? But every time I try to throw the TV into the recycling bin, it doesn't go. And then it goes back there and it glitches out. And then if you leave the screen, like if you walk over to the right or you go back to where you were you hit the exploding ball pretty far away from the TVs themselves. If you go back, then the TV is gone and you cannot progress in the game. So I'm pretty far in the game. I put a lot of hours into it right around Christmas. And listen, we're recording this a few weeks early from when you're listening to it. I hope that there's a patch to the game. They said on December 24th that they're working on a patch, but it hasn't come out yet because it's December 29th. Obviously, they're not going to work over Christmas. And also, Nintendo is notoriously slow about approving patches because of the black box that is the Nintendo Corporation.
Yeah.
So it's like I haven't not seen anyone else run into this bug. I've frequently been on the subreddit that has popped up about this, but people keep complaining about game-breaking bugs that exist. And like, I'm conflicted because I'm excited about this game. I want these people to succeed. I know that they're talented and I love everything that they're doing, but it wasn't ready. But they might have felt pressured to put it out. And it's not like this was Scarlet and Violet Pokemon, which was a garbage mess and they have all the money in a world. I know they're an indie team, but it's like, I always want people to put things out when they're ready. But at the same time, I was tired of waiting for the game, so I understand why they felt the way that they did to put it out as quick right now, right before Christmas, when people are sitting on their hands.
And if they're an indie like team and stuff, it's quite possible that they were under like pressure financially to actually get some revenue coming in and all of that kind of stuff. Like if they've been working on this just relentlessly and there's no, if the studio's like, hey, there's no more money coming in, like either you release it or you're gonna have to shut up shop or something. It's rough. I think it's kind of rough. Oh man, I feel sad. I think that you're right. Like I could absolutely get past pretty much every bug, but if I can't get further in the game, are you enjoying the game? Like, is the game well made outside of these bugs? Like, is it fulfilling everything you wanted it to be outside of the bugs? Or is there still stuff to be desired there as well?
I think that they made this game, they really wanted to blow out Golf Story. They wanted it to feel huge and big, and it definitely feels bigger. But like it feels like while they were doing that, they didn't concentrate as much about shining it to make sure it feels good. For example, in a golf game, it's all about timing, right? You hit the the little cursor goes to the left and then it comes back to the right and you got to hit it in both the places, right?
Yeah.
But there's some glitching there where it doesn't feel super precise. So it doesn't feel good. And there are some times with like loading and other things where it doesn't, when you're playing a video game and you're like, I don't like this. Something about this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from them. Exactly. So it's like, I like the game and they definitely blow it out. I really love the writing, but like there's some grammatical mistakes in the video game too. Like there's a lot of stuff like this and I just don't know how to feel. I really hope by the time that this episode comes out, a patch is gone and maybe I'll finish the game. And if that is the case, I'll hop back in here and give an update. But for now, I mean, yeah, I totally get it. Jasper, the game Golf Story came out in September 2017. It has been 5 years since they had a new product come out, and Golf Story is currently like $9 on the Nintendo Switch store.
Yeah.
So I get it. They need to put it out, but you know, it's the balance between the reality breathing down your neck, and now all these people who were so excited for your game to come out are like, wow, look at all these bugs.
Well, do you know what? I hope this game gets No Man's Skied, but sooner than No Man's Sky got No Man's Skied. You know what I mean? Because that took ages for it to get good, but boy, is it good now. So I hope and I pray that there is improvements coming, because it's sad. It is really sad. And I understand why you're conflicted. I completely understand why you're conflicted. I want to tell you that your feelings are justified, Eric.
Hey, games that are giving us feelings is about us. So I really appreciate you making me feel better.
It's about us counseling each other through difficult times such as this.
Just like all advice columns are actually about the advice giver when you think about it.
I mean, actually, that's probably more accurate than it should be. That statement is definitely more accurate than it should be.
All right, Jasper, do you want to do some questions?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's do some questions. As always, submit your questions at gamesandfeelings.com/questions. We read them on the show. You can give whatever name you like, but we are also probably going to come up with a Sleepless in Seattle style advice columnist name for you as well. I was really interested in this one because it ties together. It's a question we talk about quite a lot, but there's a fun twist on it for this one. This is from Scotty, they, them. I do medieval recreation and will be teaching a class on ancient board games at an upcoming event.
Whoa, starting strong.
Incredible. My question is, do you have any advice for teaching a group of people to play a new game they have likely never heard before? The games are simple, but I will be introducing and teaching 4 to 6 new games in an hour, with an extra hour for people to just hang out and play. I will have written rules as well as walk through the games visually, but I want to make sure I can cater to all learning types.
Whoa. Okay, first of all, huge props. 5 to 6 games in an hour? Impressive.
I think it makes more sense if like there a bunch of people like wander over to your hut and is like, ooh, I'm the games master in the village. and like, you got to teach them in my head, I'm hoping this game is as simple as like Mancala, where there's something about moving beads around.
Beads on.
So I think I'm hoping that's what this is. So it might be pretty simple, hopefully, to get the rules across.
Yes.
In so many ways.
Okay. So I think probably, like, for me, I feel like a hands-on approach might be good here. Yes. Because I think that, like, a lot of the time, whenever you're learning a new board game, or a kind of a game with, like, even if simplistic rules, the best way to figure out the fundamentals of like what does and doesn't work in the game, like and why certain rules are there, and etc., is to like make the mistake yourself. So like if there's a way that you can have these games like set up on tables in front of people so they can kind of be like, as you're talking about it, be like in a pair, like having a go. Do you know what I mean? And being like, oh, okay, that doesn't go in that bit because it just doesn't work or whatever. Like for me, if you have that as an option, I feel like you're probably going to cover most of the like learning and like types, you know what I mean? I think that because if you're visual, you can just watch the, if it's oral, you can just listen. If you're more tactile like me, then I can kind of have my hand on the thing and kind of get a sense of the game under my fingertips. I think that will probably be quite good. And then I think generally just try not to be like too nerdy with it, because I've definitely done this before where I'll be like, and like get really excited and start teaching you about the history of this ancient game and go on for like 5 minutes, by which point people have completely lost the thread of the thing that I was trying to teach them about in that moment. So like try and be super concise, because I know what we nerds are like, and we get very hyped about stuff. Get hyped about that in the second hour. Like in the second hour when everyone's just chilling out, hanging out, playing some games, then you can go around to the table and being like, by the way, in the 1800s, the King of France played this game and lost, and that's actually why the revolution started, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's actually a fact, by the way. Don't check it. No need to Google it. Just that.
Yeah, Louis the 16th, notorious bad loser. Yeah,
really, really bad loser. And he said "Vive la Revolution" as soon as he lost the game because he was.
Yeah, why do they think they called him the Sun King? Because everyone was always sunning him because he was so bad at games.
Hilarious.
That's a history joke. Look that you guys go on Wikipedia, look that up, and then come back and tell me that's funny. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that's a really good thing, especially because this is medieval recreation and you could be throwing history facts at people. Do it after they're already invested,
yes.
I think is a really interesting thing.
Yep.
Here's my idea here. That I think, do you watch any of the various Gordon Ramsay cooking competition shows?
Of course. He's a national icon.
A national icon. So whether we're talking about Hell's Kitchen or MasterChef or any of the derivatives of MasterChef afterwards, Gordon Ramsay is really good at this in that he teaches people, especially for MasterChef where they're with amateur chefs, right? An episode comes up where Gordon Ramsay's like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to fillet a fish. And people are like, oh no, I don't know how to do that. And then he goes up and there's a giant whopping fish.
So big. Like truly the fish is huge.
The largest tuna you've seen in your entire life. And then he methodically takes it apart. He's like, everyone has pen and paper and writes down and follows along as he shows the steps of how to fillet the fish. And then at the end, there are all these parts of the filleted fish. And then he's like, all right, your challenge, and just imagine I'm doing a great Gordon Ramsay now.
Yeah, I am.
Your challenge is to now fillet a fish and then make some sort of fish, 2 fish dishes out of the fish you just filleted in all the parts, right? And there's no excuse because he very much went through all this stuff. So now he can hold you to a high standard.
Sure.
And if your standard here is them having fun, then that is a pretty high standard for them to get it. So my recommendation would be try to stage the game in front of them, have one up at the front that everyone watches you play against yourself or against maybe an assistant that is set up for, not for winning, but for you to do all of the parts of the game.
All the different moves or whatever it is.
All the moves. So that's visual, and then they can go and they'll have their own games in the other places with laminated how to play the game in bullets next to it as well.
Yeah.
And then you can go around and they can ask you questions if they don't understand. That's how I would do it. I think you're trying to pair as many learning styles as possible. I also want to say, hey, if people don't get the game, don't worry about it.
That's fine. Yeah, 100%. That's fine. If I was you, I'd be aiming for people to understand 1 out of the 6 games. If I can get every person in that room to understand and have fun playing 1 out of those 6 games, I'd be pretty happy. I think that could be a good goal for you because I think if you go in with the thing of every single person in this room has to understand and enjoy playing all 6 games, I feel like you're probably setting yourself up for a failure because that's a hard task. Yeah. That is a hard task to do.
I was gonna say, the success rate for me would be 50%. I love you, Jasper, that you did 1 out of 6.
Well, no, but I mean 1 out of 6, but 100% of the people play a game and enjoy a game. You know what I mean?
Yes, every single person likes at least one game is good. That's very good.
Yeah, they'll probably understand more than one game, I'm saying, but if you can get them to not only understand it, but to enjoy playing it, then I think that's a success.
Right.
Yeah.
If at the end, you ask everyone what their favorite game was, and everyone enthusiastically has a favorite, you did a good job.
Yes, absolutely. And if everyone enthusiastically says 1 or 2 of the games, then you've probably saved yourself a bunch of time next time you do this thing because you'll realize that 3 of them just aren't hitting right.
Yeah, it's this game was when there was no entertainment stimulation at all, so people thought that
this was during the Dark Ages. This game was made it was just throwing pebbles at a wall or something, and that's all we did.
You know what? This game doesn't really hit as much unless you use a human skull. So I think that I'm just not getting,
I'm not getting the full...
simulacrum of what the game is. Just isn't coming together.
Not the full experience that I was looking for, but I understand what it's going for. Yeah, for sure. It's just that the lack of human head really doesn't sell it for me.
Jasper, I think that's why Americans can't get into soccer, is because they didn't have the tradition of playing it with a head to start with.
Yeah. That's absolutely fair enough. You only got to play it with a pig's bladder, an inflated pig's bladder. So I can understand why that's less enjoyable than the head of one of your enemies. That's completely fair.
Another true fact. Yeah. Go look that up on Wikipedia, and everyone else, and you can think that what we're saying is funny again.
Awful. Truly awful.
Jasper, I've also come up with a advice column name for this person.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I've gone with 10,000 BC, but BC stands for before Candy Crush.
Oh, nice. Very good. I like it. That's really, really good.
Is that good?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Nice. Well done. We're done now. We completed games.
All right, 10,000 BC. Thank you for the question. Hey, it's Eric, and I picked up some snacks for games and feelings. I got Detroit-style pizza. You can tell it's from Detroit because it's square. Yeah. It's also very delicious. I really like Detroit style. You get this amount of crust you want. It's like brownie, but pizza is the best way for me to describe it. And I mean that appreciatively. I think all of you should be a part of the Patreon at patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. Just like our newest patrons, Breon Harping and Becca Tizard. And Megan Moon has upgraded to the highest tier, so she is a producer-level patron, just like Polly Burge and Kelsey Duffy, who intentionally put language into their open gaming license so it can never be revoked. Going weekly is a big deal. Bringing Jasper on is a big deal. So I'm so appreciative to all of you who are part of the Patreon and giving money directly to creators. Jasper is also sharing in the money that the episodes that he's on. So you are supporting multiple creators here, not just me. Maybe I should set like a big goal to once we get like 100 patrons or something. Okay, if we get 100 patrons, I will go to the United Kingdom and I will bother Jasper at his house and I will film it, something just for patrons. How does that sound? If you want that to happen, I need 100 of you to become patrons at patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. You should check out the other shows that are part of the Multitude Podcast Collective, just like the Queer Movie Podcast, which is a queer movie watch party hosted by Rowan Ellis and Jaza John. Join them as they research and rate their way through the queer film canon, one genre at a time, from rom-coms to slashers, contemporary art house cinema to black and white classics. Queer Movie Podcast is a celebration of all things gay. There's 5 A's in the copy. I want to make sure I get that. On the silver screen. They actually recently just did Knives Out because of the, I guess it's not like fanon or headcanon if Ryan Johnson says it and Daniel Craig believes it, but since Benoit Blanc is gay and Hugh Grant is probably his husband, if not his butler/husband, it still counts, and they just did an episode on it, which is great. And I think there's a Peach-related gay movie that's coming out, if I know their socials correctly. New episodes out every other Thursday. Go check it out. We are sponsored today by Brilliant. If you really want to own your friends by explaining the logic of dice rolls, probability, and statistics, you got to go to brilliant.org. Brilliant is the best way to learn math, science, and computer science interactively. They have thousands of lessons with new ones added every single month. Brilliant's visual, interactive approach is incredibly engaging and makes STEM concepts actually stick. So if I were you, and you really want to own your friends, I would check out Random Variables and Distribution, which is in their data science career learning path. Randomness and variables are the most important part of how games function, alongside all those like dumb human feelings, and understanding the theory and math behind a dice roll is a fascinating way to level up your game knowledge. So to get started for free, go check out brilliant.org/gamesandfeelings or click on the link in the episode description. The first 200 of you will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Brilliant.org/gamesandfeelings. Finally, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you are at your best, you can do great things. But sometimes life gets you bogged down, and you may feel overwhelmed or like you're not showing up in the way that you want to. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you feel that way, and then you're looking for games to try to soothe that. But then you're having more human interaction. You're not having a good time, and you don't really know how to deal with that. Maybe there's somewhere you can turn, and that is the place you can turn is therapy. And BetterHelp is a convenient, flexible, affordable, entirely online way for you to get your hands on some therapy. If finding therapy near you is a hassle, give BetterHelp a try. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit BetterHelp.com/gamesandfeelings today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/gamesandfeelings. And now, back to the games. All right, Jasper, here's another question. This one is about world building in a one-shot.
Ooh.
No, we're going over to tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
Going this way. Hey! Hello.
Whoa!
It's an
Hi! Jeez, so enthusiastic the way you wrote that hey down. I mean, Eric had no choice but to give it the beans.
I am a teenager who's trying to plan a relatively easy D&D one-shot for my birthday party in December/January. Oops. Hopefully this helps anyway. That was me. I said oops. Okay. I'll be DMing for 4 or 5 of my friends. I've DM'd before, but the last time we played, it descended into chaos very quickly because the way I was DMing was boring? ? I was trying to set the scene, but I think I took too long and my friends got bored and started fighting each other. 2 of them are siblings, LOL.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, the premise of the one-shot is a modern heist/superhero thing, possibly turning into a longer, ongoing campaign. Any tips on successfully world-building, but not being boring? And then they say some nice stuff about me. It's fine. This is from Magbert, they, them.
Okay, Magbert, they, them. I understand your conundrums here. This is... Okay, so first of all, I'm going to say it's not boring. You are a unique soul and person, and therefore you will make something inherently that is not boring. It is unique and individual only to you.
Also, maybe only invite one of the siblings.
Yes. Okay, so first tip, one sibling, max, at the table. You can invite your younger sibling to play at a table. I think that should be fine. That's the only sibling combo you can have at a table where one of the older sibling is the DM because the older sibling can just hit the younger sibling if they're stepping out of line. Just you know what I mean? Just shut the hell up. We're playing a game. But I would say that the delivery, it can sometimes be where the issue may lie. And I think a lot of the time it will just be understanding that they have no context for what you're talking about. So you need to make sure that you hit them with something early to get the hook in. So like very simply, it's the reason why every single movie ever starts with 10,000 years ago. This happened, and it meant this. Very simple, 3 parts of a sentence, and you're immediately kind of hooked into some narrative that's happening. If you open it by being there's a field, and on the field there is grass, and on the grass there is cows. We're kind of we're 3 sentences in, and there's nothing really to hook your attention. So I would say that just immediately start with something that's going to draw them in and potentially raise the stakes as well. If you're going for anything that's kind of remotely epic, or even if it's the town's in danger, just set that up right at the top. Be the town is potentially going to be overrun by demons tonight. Then you can go into a description about the fields and the cows and how under the field and the cows there's a fiery pit where all these demons are going to come out of or something, right? So you can kind of do the long description after that. So start with a hook, and then one of the big things that I have started doing with one-shots, and I cannot express to you how life-changing this has been for me. Let's say you have a 4-hour time slot, roughly, to play your one-shot. Spend 1 hour of that 4 hours world building and creating characters as a team, as a group discussion, so that you kind of have the opportunity to be okay, who's your character? what do they think of that character? Try and say something positive about one of the other characters at the table. Do stuff like that. Ask them, what sort of stuff do you want to see in the world? What sort of stuff do you like seeing? What sort of, because then basically what's going to happen is they're going to give you a bunch of material that they find interesting and they're really excited about. And you can just scribble it down on a piece of paper, and then I can guarantee you there will be a perfect moment at some point during the one shot where you'll look down and go, oh, they really like airships, and we're in this space. It'd be perfect for an airship to show up right now. And boom, you can drop an airship in. Like, it's made so much difference for my ability to run interesting and exciting one-shots. I would just basically invite them to world build with me and world build as a group. It means they all jump in on board together as a team. Ask them to come up with some shared backstory, okay, each of you go around and describe the way you felled this dragon. Like, what did you do? What did you contribute to the team as you felled this dragon, this beast, this whatever it is? You know what I mean? And you already then have in-jokes and all kinds of stuff like that. I found that to be a pretty foolproof one-shot thing to just get everyone in the mood, ready to go, on your side. And then you just with an absolute ton of material, which you can then pull from as you go through the adventure that you've planned out. I'm not saying you have to suddenly change your adventure, but literally I've had it before. I've had a venture planned out and someone's like, oh, I haven't I'm estranged from my family. My dad was a powerful wizard or whatever. The bad guy in my campaign that I'd planned out, powerful wizard. I was like, boom, it's your dad now. All I have to do is literally change the name. Do you know what I mean? Change the name of a character, and suddenly my player has maximum investment in a one shot. So simple. Yeah. Super fun for everyone involved.
It's kind of like a magic trick almost, where you ask them you get them to say one thing, and then oh, it's been this the whole time.
Yes, exactly.
That's such a good idea, Jasper. I want to just double down on the two things that you said. First, about the hook, I want to particularly lean on action movies like you did, particularly because this is about a heist. You might know do you know the movie The Town?
Oh yeah, with Ben Affleck?
Starring Ben Affleck?
Yes, yeah.
So if you don't know, it's an incredible heist movie and crime movie, and it's all set in Southie Boston with the working class area of Boston, and the title card comes up and says the highest number per capita of bank robbers comes from 6 square blocks in Charleston, Boston.
Yep.
and then the story is all about these people. So they're holy shit, regardless of whether or not this fact is true, I have no idea. Yeah. But who what cares? A good introduction.
Yeah.
Tabletop RPGs are really interesting in that they're trying to evoke something that you get from a different medium, but you're playing it.
Yes.
And I think if you identify what that is, then you can use the elements of that media to help you. Dungeons & Dragons, usually you should use action movies and fantasy movies.
Yes.
What about the Lord of the Rings movies do you feel pulled by? And then you can use those tricks, but you describe it in words instead of visually, right? So definitely lean on action movies, especially if you're doing a heist here. I think it's a really good idea. Explain... I think if you're worried about your world building getting too expansive and boring, quote unquote, which it's not because two siblings were fighting, it's not. Just get concise. Tell them only what they need to know.
And then make them work for the rest. Leave the rest in a chest somewhere and let them discover it. Let them uncover the little nuggets. And you can even do the DM face. I do this all the time where they'll roll a nat 20 to get a piece of information out of someone, and I'll do the DM face, which I'll do for Eric now, but I'll describe what I'm doing. It's effectively where I look all kind of oh man, you got me kind of face, and it makes the players think, yes, we did it, we caught him, he didn't expect this, I knew that you were gonna do this, I had this information teed up, but it makes you feel empowered and you're winning at the game. So don't give them all the information, leave it like breadcrumbs. It doesn't matter what order they find out in. You don't have to be J.R.R. Tolkien, don't be J.R.R. Tolkien, be you, be awesome, and then they'll discover little breadcrumbs of story and they'll love it. They will lap up all of the story. Whereas if you give them it all in like a, big monologue at the beginning, people absolutely will probably zone out.
Yeah. Just don't do too much. Just do a little bit. I also want to recommend in Furious 7 from the Fast and Furious movies. If this is a heist thing or it's superhero-y, you could pull this. If it's superhero-y, there's also like some shadowy organization. Kurt Russell played Mr. Nobody, who was like a deep state CIA guy who gave all the exposition, and he was also Kurt Russell and fun and interesting and wearing a suit. So like make a fun NPC, but just get them out of the way very quickly.
Yeah.
And just dump all the, like, shadowy, you got to steal something from a shadowy organization, give someone who defected, who need these people to get stolen, blah, blah, blah. You're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have the hook. The hook is important.
Yes, 100%.
What was the second thing you said? I just want to remember. I wanted to double down on it.
It was just about basically taking the first hour of whatever time you have to effectively world build and party build together, have like a little questionnaire of like, what have you never seen before? What have you never done before in D&D? What does your character want? That's a big one. I get like a lot. It's like,
that's a good one.
What does your character wants one thing in the whole world? Because then again, the simplest carrot you'll ever dangle in front of a character. I also tend to get them to do this one in secret, because what I'll say is like, say you then come up to me, Eric, and you're like, oh, I really want to own this like one diamond. It's like the biggest diamond in the world. Like halfway through this mission, we're doing this heist together. We've got the mission in front of us. It's all going well. And then I describe, oh yeah, to your left, you see this huge diamond through a door. Every other player's like, okay, fine, huge diamond, whatever. And that character then is like, I have a moral conundrum now. Like I'm actually invested, and I'm like, where do I go? What do I do? It's so much fun.
That might be interesting to say publicly, though. I think secrets are for more advanced players. Saying that publicly so everyone knows, I think is helpful so everyone gets what they want. The questionnaire is really interesting, especially like some people do this so that everyone remembers each other's names.
Yes.
Like takes a note card and folds it over and like write your name on it and your class so that people can talk to each other in that name. But also, I think having pieces of paper where everyone goes around and answers a survey, which is like, hi, this is my character name, this is my class, or like even if you want it to be even more basic, this is what I'm good at, or this is my superhero power, like these are the themes that I'm getting at here. And then you say, what do I want the most? And then I always like coming up with a table of questions. So it's like, all right, player A, turn to the player to your left, roll on this table and answer this question. And then that's how you two are tied together.
Yes.
And it's usually like, you two have met before on a previous heist. Did it go well or did it not go well?
Yeah.
Or then another question would be like, you two know each other. Do you two know each other outside of superheroing? Do you know each other's secret identity? What happened? And then like, but that ties character B and C together, and then C and D, and then D and A. So there are at least two bonds there going forward, which I think always helps. Yeah, you want to make sure that your players are invested in their characters and your world. And again, it's a magic trick. This is no different than teaching. It takes a lot or parenting. Yeah, this takes a lot of work to make someone think that they came up with it in their imagination, but you can do it because they don't know what you know.
Yes. And like I just say that the number one stumbling block with I find when I see DMs running one-shots or when I hear stories about people like running one-shots is that they treat it like a main campaign session where players have been playing for like, I don't know, like 60 hours, as this character. Yeah. So they're hella invested emotionally in this character by that point because they've spent so long with them. With a one shot, they don't have that. You don't have that luxury. And so unless they're like experienced TTRPG players, they're unlikely to be that invested straight away. So this is just a surefire way of getting them invested early on because you don't have that much time to get them invested and for them to spend with their characters. So you can give them, like giving them this backstory, and the shared backstory is a really simple, like Eric said, magic trick, basically. Because they will then be like, oh man, we've got so much history. We've done so much stuff together. And like now when we get into it, I don't want to fight you. I want to make sure that we're, doing the right thing, going in the right direction. We're fighting the right bad guys, whatever it may be,
Yes, exactly. That they're on their own thing. It's not like they're doing your one shot. That's always the issue.
Yeah.
Because again, if you dump too much exposition, they'll think like, oh, I got to listen to my friend say all of this stuff. if you have... I know they're your friends, but everyone feels that way a little bit. Like, it's like, I'm going to sit here and have someone read me their novel, I guess,
Yeah, it's probably not the best. I potentially have a name, though, for this.
Please, go ahead.
How about the Lord of Lore? Something like this. Some reference to them having a lot of lore, something like that? What do you think?
Overloaded with lore?
Overloaded with lore. There we go. That's good. There we go. Okay, that's good.
Usually, it's like they always have a little bit of a problem because they're writing into a device column. But I like that a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Overloaded with lore. That's good.
All right, thank you, Overloaded with Lore. I hope that was helpful. Jasper, I have a little game I would like to play with you. If I don't remember what this segment used to be called, but it's just called I Have a Little Game that I want to play with Jasper.
Yes! That's the best title for a game I've ever heard.
All right, Jasper, this game is called Is There a Crab in This Game? There is a Twitter account of that name that tells you whether or not there is a crab in a game, and I'm going to ask you whether or not there is a crab in this game, but I might also have some follow-up questions.
Okay.
Jasper, is there a crab in Overwatch? The very famous shooter that had a lot of characters in it, and people wrote fan fiction about it, and then Overwatch 2 came out, and it was the same as Overwatch. Is there a crab in Overwatch / Overwatch 2?
Overwatch. Can I ask a follow-up question, or is it just straight up yes or no? Okay. Does, like, mechanical crab-like things count? Or are we talking, like, straight up organic crab?
No, crab-like things, yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
Yes, there is a crab in Overwatch.
Get in.
There is a skin for the character Wrecking Ball, who is a hamster in a ball. Follow-up question, what occasion was this skin released for?
A crab skin?
It was a crab skin. Why? What was the reason that they gave it? What was the reason that they gave it out?
Like spring break, like summer holidays.
Good question. No, it was Christmas of this year.
What? Why a crab?
Jasper, you get 1 point.
That's hilarious. Why? That makes no sense.
Jasper, is there a crab in Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley, the game where you do a lot of farming and there's a lot of stuff in that game.
Surely then, yes.
Jasper, there is a crab in Stardew Valley, correct?
Come on, 2-0.
But follow-up question, does Stardew Valley have forest spirits that have taken up residence in a broken-down community center?
Yes? It's way too obscure.
Yep, they're called Junimos. There's a lot of shit in this game. Jasper, you got 2 points. You're up to 3 points.
Oof, okay, come on. I'm feeling good. Let's go.
Here we go. Jasper, is there a crab in Mario Paints, the 1992 SNES game where you just paint stuff?
Does a painting of a crab count?
Yeah.
Then fuck yeah, there's definitely a crab in there.
Yep, there's a crab.
Yes!
There's an under-the-sea thing you can paint that has a crab in it.
Yes.
Follow-up question, Jasper, do you consider Mario Paint to be a game?
No, it's an experience. It's just, you're just painting. It's like you're literally doing you are painting. That's it.
Interesting. Jasper does not think that Mario Paint is a game. Thank you for telling me your thoughts. You get 2 points. You're up to 5 points.
Come on.
Jasper, does Fall Guys have a crab in it? Fall Guys, the series of mini games where you're a little bean and you run around. Yeah. Is there a crab in Fall Guys? I'm
going to say no.
Jasper, there is a crab in Fall Guys, yes. There are actually 2 crabs in Fall Guys. One, you can have a little crab friend, but there is a costume of a crab that you can wear. From what theme or IP does this costume come from?
Overwatch.
No, it's not Overwatch. Jasper, there was a SpongeBob SquarePants pack where you can be Mr. Krabs. No points. You had no points for Jasper, but you're still at 5 points. All right. Jasper, is there a crab in Multiverses? Multiverses is the game where they put all the Warner Brothers IP and smoosh it into a fighting game. Is there a crab in Multiverses? There
is a crab in there, Eric. There's a crab in there.
Jasper, there's no crab in Multiverses.
Fuck! No! My powers are waning! I started moving. I think the problem is I started moving forwards and backwards. That's the problem. I need to think laterally. I need to think laterally here.
Yep. Now, Jasper, is there a crab in the 1994 SNES platformer Lester the Unlikely?
No.
Jasper, there is a crab in Lester the Unlikely.
This is terrible.
Here's a follow-up question. Is the plot of Lester the Unlikely about the smallest crab on the beach who has to defeat a sea witch who has captured all of his friends?
I really hope not, because otherwise the people who heard my first answer to this question are going to be really disappointed with me.
No, this is not the plot. Do you want to hear the plot of Lester the Unlikely?
Oh my God, what's the plot?
A teenage boy named Lester, who is, quote, kind of geeky and, quote, kind of sleepy, bought an issue of a comic book. He was reading it while walking on a dock, and then he fell asleep next to a cargo crate lying next to a ship. He and the cargo crate were loaded onto the ship, but the ship then got hijacked by pirates who scuttled it. Lester, luckily, found a life jacket and swam towards the nearest island. Lester must then find his way home by exploring the island and avoiding enemies, one of which is a crab.
Whoa.
You play as a nerdy, sleepy teenager.
He's just like on an island having to survive. I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah, you play as just a 15-year-old nerdy white kid.
I think I just need to go play that game right now.
All right, we're back from 3 days where Jasper beat Lester the Unlikely.
Woo.
We're back still playing Is There a Crab in This Game?
Wild ride, guys. It is giving me feelings. Let me tell you.
All right, Jasper, we are nearing the end here.
Okay.
Let's talk about Sonic Frontiers, the new 3D Sonic game. Is there a crab in Sonic Forces?
Yes.
Yes, you're correct.
Woo!
There is a crab in the fishing minigame where Big the Cat is just hanging out. Follow-up question. What the fuck do you feel about Big the Cat?
Uncomfortable.
Good answer. You got another point. Big the Cat, just a big purple cat whose best friend is a frog.
Just a big...
Weird.
It's really... And like the ears make me feel like it's not a cat, it's a rabbit, but it's not. It's a cat. I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about it. It's weird, confused, conflicted, weird.
It really feels like someone's anime OC was put into Sonic, because he's just like, hi, I'm Big the Cat, and mine is Froggy, and that's it.
That's it. That's the whole bit. That's the whole...
Like, they didn't have to justify putting a fishing minigame in Sonic. They could have just done it.
Yeah.
No. All right, Jasper, this is your final question of Is There a Crab in This Game? Did you notice how many of the questions I asked had a crab in it?
How many questions did you ask?
I asked 7 questions. Did you notice how many of these the answer was yes, there is a crab?
5.
It was 6 out of 7, but you never noticed the pattern. The answer for all of them, it was yes, except for multiverses.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct.
So you only... Oh, I need to give you points for the last one. I think that put you up to 7 or 9.
Let's go with 9.
Middling.
Let's go with 9. Let's go with 9.
It's 9,
It's less middling.
Yeah, it was a little less middling. Incredible. Well, Jasper, thanks for coming along on this wonderful journey with me.
What a journey it was. I'm going to go brush up on my crab stats. Because I feel like I need to.
Hashtag crab stats. While you're brushing up on your crab stats and Lester the Unlikely, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, please. At me with your crab stats, at JW_Cartwright on all of the social medias. You can also at one of my other shows, which is 3 Black Halflings. That's the number 3 Black Halflings. We have a very cool and spicy one-shot coming up. It's Black Panther themed, coming out in January. So may even be out when this is out. Ooh. Who knows? But definitely something to go check out on the YouTubes because it'll be full video. We've got some epic guests as well. So look out for that.
Hell yeah, dude.
It'll be in January at some point. That's what I know.
At sometime in
when
the first
I
month of the year.
have time to edit this thing, it will be out.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, if you want to tell me about your crab stats or that we're really funny and that we're good at history, please tweet at me at L_Silvero on Twitter. That's EL_SALVERO. My name if I was a Lucha Libre wrestler. Or you can find the show at Games and Feelings. That's with an N, like linens and things. The best place to submit questions is go to our website, gamesandfeelings.com/questions, and you can support the show at patreon.com/gamesandfeelings. The next episode on this feed is going to be a main feed replay, which is what we do on the Patreon, where Eric and Amanda, my wife, answer questions from advice columns about games, because dear Abby didn't know anything about games, and we do much better answers than that. You're going to get a main feed episode next week, but we've been doing that on Patreon forever, so you should go check out the Patreon. And for only $5, you get access to a whole other podcast.
Ooh,
go check out the links in the episode description.
Love it.
Yeah, dude. Use your $5. You don't have to spend money on Christmas Christmas prezzies anymore. Just send it to a small business.
Send it to the small businesses and get extra episodes.
Thank you, Jasper, for being on 3 episodes of Games and Feelings in a row. You're the best.
Thank you for having me on 3 episodes. As I said before, I hope you are okay with the sound of my voice and not too bored of it yet. If you are, remember to @JW Cartwright. Just leave the underscore out. Just at all of your complaints about how much you dislike the sound of my voice after listening to 3 episodes back to back.
No, absolutely not, Jasper. You're wonderful and incredible, and that would never happen. Our listeners are too kind and too fun.
No, you guys are the best.
Yeah. And remember, the instruction manual doesn't have anything about feelings. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Games and Feelings is produced by Eric Silver and edited and mixed by Mischa Stanton. The theme music is Return to French Toast Castle by Jeff Bryce, and the art was created by Jessica Boyd. Find transcripts for this episode and all episodes at our website, gamesandfeelings.com. Until next time, press X to enjoy the podcast.